Perek Mem Tet, the 49th chapter of the book of Yeshayah. Shimu iyim elai, v'hakshivu leumim merachok. Adonai mi beten kira'ani, mi me'ei imi hizkir shmi. So listen to the people all the way on the coast, iyim, coastlands or islands. Pay attention, those who are far away. Yeshayah's message is not just to Bnei Israel, it's for the whole world. Talked in the past talked about God being not just the one who selects Israel, but the Borei Olam, God who stretched out the heavens and the earth, God who talks about the redemption of all mankind, and therefore everybody should be listening to the words of Yeshayah. And curiously here, Yeshayah talks about that God had selected him from the womb, that already before he had even proven himself in any way, God had selected Yeshayah as a prophet. We will see this mentioned also in the book of Yirmiyahu, where God says to Yirmiyahu, I selected you from the womb to be a prophet for nations. And it's a part of a larger debate. How does one become a prophet? Is it just God chooses the person to be, or does the person do something in order to show his or her greatness or worthiness to be a prophet? Moshe, we're told stories about him, right? Standing up for Bnei Israel in front of the Egyptians, standing up for the daughters of Midian before God selects him as a Navi and a leader of the Jewish people. So there is this sort of question related to how God selects prophets, and it seems to be different for different people. Let's continue. My mouth was made sharp like a blade when I was hidden in the shadow of God's hand. I was like a polished arrow concealed in God's quiver, right? I'm going to be like the arrow that was concealed, that was hidden so nobody could harm me, but then I was shot out and can cause a panic and worry. Vayomer li avdiatan, God said to me, you are my servant, Yisrael asher b'cha et pair. You are my servant, Israel, in whom I glory, in whom I show my glory. We talked a number of chapters ago when the question was, when God talked about sending his Eved, his servant, and the majority of commentaries say it's Cyrus, it was Koresh, because Koresh is referred to. Others say it refers to the future Mashiach, and there are some, I think it might have been the Ibn Ezra, I don't remember, who claims that it was Yeshayah himself, and here it seems to be that God is referring to Yeshayah as his Eved, his servant, substantiating that opinion. Vani amarti l'rik yagati l'tova hevel kochi chileti achein mishpati et Adonai ufulati et Elohai. I thought all this was in vain. I've spent my strength for empty breath, but my case rested with God. Right? Everything is in God's hand. V'atamar Adonai yotzrimi beten le'eved lo l'shovev Yaakov elav Yisrael lo ye'asef. And God is now at the point where God, the one who formed me in the womb to be his prophet. And why did he form me in the womb? To bring back Yaakov and restore Yisrael, right? The second half of the book of Yeshayah is very much about Bnei Israel coming back, destruction of Babylon, God taking his vengeance on Babylon for their great harm of his people of Israel. And so here he says that this is my purpose. And God has been my strength, which has brought about honor to me. Vayomer, nakel miotchali eved lakim et shivtei Yaakov u'nitzurei Yisrael lashiv u'nataticha le'or goyim liot yeshuati ad k'tzei haaretz. And God said, it's not enough that you just be my servant and you just bring back Bnei Yisrael. That's not enough. I will also make you an or goyim. 3 times in this book where we have the phrase or goyim, one of the or la goyim, the light unto the nations, famous phrase, perhaps describing what ultimately the challenge and charge and mission of Bnei Israel are here. Yeshayah is being told that he himself, not as a nation, but he himself is a light unto the nations. And in doing so, he has to bring Geula, redemption, Yeshua, salvation, not just to Bnei Israel, not just to what is talking about the bring back the children of Israel to Yerushalayim, but to the entire world, bringing about a messianic period. Ko amar Adonai goel Yisrael kadosho livozeh nefesh limtaev goy le'eved moshlim lachim yarim v'kamu sarim v'ishtachavu leman Adonai asher ne'aman kadosh Yisrael vayivcharecha. And so God, the Redeemer of Israel, the one who redeems those who are hated, those who are despised, those who are enslaved. The kings will stand up. Nobles will bow down to honor God. because they will finally know that God has chosen Israel and God is redeeming the entire world. We're in verse 8. Pasuk chet, Ko amar Adonai ba'et ratzon aniticha, uv'yom Yeshua azarticha, ve'et tzarcha ve'et necha levrit am lakim eretz lanchil nichalot shomemot. God said, in an eight ratzon, in a time, in an hour of need, I will answer you. On the day that you turn to me, I will bring salvation. I will bring it to you. I have etzar, I created you, and I made a covenant with my people to restore their land and to make the places that are desolate bloom and blossom, as we've had in past chapters, such as chapter 35, I think was the Negev. God talks about the restoring of the Negev, and it's going to go to a place of irrigation. Leimor la'asurim sei'u la'asher b'choshech yigalu, al drachim yir'u u'v'chol shifayim mar'itam. So say to the prisoners, those that are asur, say to them, go free. You know, this is one of the things God does, matir asurim. God frees the prisoners, and he's telling Yeshayah to tell the people to free the prisoners. Tell the prisoners to go free. And what does it mean to go free? That to those who are in darkness, to those who don't understand, they don't see God's future redemption, reveal it to them, pull them out of their denial, of their lack of ability. They're stuck in their ways, and in that way in prison. And they will go, right? They will go on the road, and they will see that this happens. Lo yiravuv, lo yitzmuv, lo yakim, sharav vashemesh. They shall not hunger or thirst. Hot wind and sun will not strike them down. Kim rachamam yinhagem v'al mabu'ei mayim yinhalem. For the one who loves God, God will lead them, and God will be them springs of water, right? So they're far away. We're talking to people even far away. How are they going to get back? So hard. How should I go to Israel? So difficult. So hard. How will I make it there? It's not so easy. You can't get on a plane like today. No, it's hard if you have to take 2 flights, let alone 1 flight. But back then it was impossible. Shai says, don't worry about passing through the desert. If you trust in God, there will be more than enough water. There will be more than enough food for you to make it to the promised land. And I'll make all my mountains a road, and my highways shall be built up, right? It's not going to be difficult. You're going to have to cross the Alps to get to the Holy Land. It's going to be flat land, perhaps even a little bit of a descent to make it easy. All people are coming from far away, from the north, from the west, from the land of Sinim. Is Sinim, does it mean China, or does it mean something like Sinai? So unclear, but obviously the idea of the verse is this kibbutz goliot, the people gathering, and not just kibbutz goliot of Bnei Israel, but the whole world coming to see God and to behold God. Ranu shamayim v'gili aretz ufischu harim rina ki nicham Adonai amo va'aniyav yirachem. So shout out heavens, and the earth should rejoice. The hills should break out in song and joy, because God has comforted his people. He's taken back those who are aniyim, not just those who are poor or paupers, but those who have been afflicted. The word inui, Yom Kippur is a day of affliction. So, right, this is again a prayer of Nechama, Haftorah that we will read, one of the Sheva de Nechemta, one of the 7 Haftorahs that come to us during this time of year after Tisha B'Av, about God redeeming the Bnei Yisrael and bringing comfort to them. Vatomer Tzion azavani Adonai, va'Adonai shechechani. But Zion says, God has forgotten me. The Lord, he doesn't remember me. He's left me. And God responds, Hatishkach isha ula merachem ben bitna, gam ela tishkachna va'anochi lo eshkachech. Can a woman forget her baby? Could she disown the child who was in her womb? And that word merachem, rechem, the womb, and rechem, which means mercy, the idea of motherly love. God is being described here in different ways that we talk about the relationship between God and the Jewish people. Is it husband and wife? Is it father and son? Is it master and slave? And here we go to say it's mother and child. It's supposed to be the most compassionate way of describing the relationship, and thus God can't forget you. Same way a mother cannot forget the child of her womb. Hein al kapayim chakotich chomotayich negdi tamid. You are engraved on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me, right? I can't forget you. Miharu banayich mehara sayich umachrivayich mimech yetzo. Swiftly your children are coming. Those who ravaged and ruined you shall leave you. Different ways of understanding this verse is the saying that, those who are, that the destroyers are amongst you, but seemingly this is a prophecy of nichama, of comfort and mercy. Appearances that's talking about the destruction is leaving from you. Look around, lift up your eyes and see. Everybody is assembled. Everybody is here. They're all coming to you. And chayani nu'um Hashem. Here Yeshayah says, as I live, I declare according to God. And that's sort of like the language that we see, a lot of that language like used by Eliyahu way back when in the book of Melachim. We swear by God, I promise that you will don all of them like jewels. You will be full of beautiful garments like a bride. Everything is going to be moments of beauty to you now that you have returned. You haven't been forgotten, and everybody will notice it. Ushemamotayich ve'eretz harisutech ki ata tetzri miyoshev v'rachaku mivalayich. All your ruins, all your desolate places, everything that has been laid to waste, that is a vacuum, that is empty, will soon be filled with settlers. And the destroyers will stay away from you. And I listen to this pasuk, I read this pasuk on the eve of Tisha B'Av, and I think of the prayer of Nachem that's recited tomorrow, which talks about Yerushalayim, which is destroyed and desolate without its, like a mother without its children, like a widow. And there have been a number of new versions of the prayer of Nachem that have been written, because Yerushalayim today is certainly not a city that is empty. It's not desolate. It's not a vacuum. It's full of life and Torah and full of so many of our people. And so to a certain extent, while we don't have the temple rebuilt, and we certainly do not live in a messianic era, this verse 19, we see that in many ways it has come true. Od Yomru, we're in verse 20, Pasuk Chav, V'oznayich, b'nei Shikulayich, Tsarli Amakom, Gishali ve'eshava. The children that you thought had lost, what are they going to say? This place is too crowded for me. Make room for me, right? Yerushalayim, we thought that it was empty. We were bereaved. The mother has lost all her children. No, it's going to be full. It's going to be complete. Ve'amarta bilvavech mi alad li et ela v'ani shechula v'gal muda. Gola v'sura ve'ela migdal hein ani nisharti levadi ele efohem. You're going to say to yourself, who bore these children for me when I was bereaved, when I was barren, when I was exiled, and I was hated? Who raised these children when I was alone? Again, right? Think about, at least to me, this idea of this idea of Yerushalayim is empty. Who are all these people? No, it's not empty anymore. Ko Amar, we're in verse 22, Pasuk Chavbet. Ko Amar Adonai Elohim hinei asel gayim yadi ve'almim aris nisi ve'viu vanaich bechotzen uvnotaich al katef tina sena. This is what God said: I will raise my hand to the nations, and I will lift up my banner, my nace to the people, and they will bring their sons in their breasts and carry your daughters on their back. Right? Everybody's going to come. We think that Bnei Yisrael, they've been assimilated, they've been scattered, they've been lost. No, the nations are going to come back, and with them, they're going to bring back the lost children of Bnei Yisrael. V'hi hayu milachim omnayich v'sarotehem menikotayich apayim eretz yishtachavulach v'afar raglayich yilachechu yadat yani Adonai asher lo yevoshu kovai. The kings will take your children, the queens will be their nurses. They're going to bow down and lick the dust of your feet. And you will know that I am God. And those who trust in me will not be ashamed, right? It's going to be this reversal. Those who have oppressed you now will be kissing your feet. They will know that you are God's people. Can spoils be taken from a warrior? or captives retrieved from a victor, you would think that's not the case. But what God's saying here is this is what is going to be case. All those children who were lost, who we thought were gone forever, returning to Israel. But God says the captives will be taken from the warriors, and the spoils, the treasures will be retrieved from the tyrants. I will be the one who fights with your enemies, with your adversaries, and I will bring your children back. V'che'asis damam yish karun v'yadu chol basar ki ani Adonai Moshiach v'goalech avir Yaakov. And I will make your oppressors eat their own flesh. And think back to the horrors of let's say during the time of was it the Achav, who there was terrible famine in the Shomron. People were eating their children. Certainly, we see that in the book of Eicha. Here, the reversal once again is happening. Your oppressors are going to be so desperate; they're going to be drunk on their own blood. All of humanity will know that I am your Savior, the Mighty One, has redeemed you. And here we see in this chapter sort of two different notions coming together. Is it God as just the Moshiach, the Savior, the Redeemer of Israel, which seems to be one of them, and the enemies of Bnei Israel are going to be taken away? But still, amongst that, Yeshayah says, and God says to Yeshayah, it's not just going to be Bnei Israel early on in the chapter. It's going to be all of humanity who's going to recognize God. And those who come along and bring Bnei Israel back, they too will be redeemed. But those who continue to fight God's redemption, and those who continue fight against Bnei Israel, they in the end will suffer greatly, while the rest of the world, thankfully, will prosper.